Hi, guys. Today, swiveling in our chairs. I love these chairs. Swiveling is the best. I just love it. We have Rory. Now, let me introduce Rory to you. Rory is a Vedic meditation teacher and sober coach based in Sydney, Australia, a former hard-drinking musician and journalist. He quit alcohol in 2017 and now helps others overcome stress and change their relationship with alcohol. I tell you, yesterday I was having a moment, and I did have a consideration going, should just go and have a glass of wine, which is like characteristic because I don't really drink. Then I said, no wine, go for chocolate. And then I just come from the gym. And so I stood in front of that chocolate rack and I didn't choose anything. And I walked away.
And you got through it. Well done.
Power to the people.
Well done.
It's like willpower. So look, you, Rory, were living the high life. You were partying hard, working hard, living the life of a professional and a muso. But eventually you realize, man, if I carry on like this is going nowhere fast. So tell us about your journey to finding meditation.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, I was in my teens and my 20s. I was a big drinker originally from England, and I was heavily into music. So, people in general in Australia, in South Africa, and in England, they drink, but especially certain communities drink more. Mm-hmm. So I was in with lots of musicians and they drink heavily, and then I became a journalist. I was a music journalist. So I'm around people where drinking's so normalized, and I kind of made it one of my traits was that I was good at drinking.
Really? You owned it.
Yeah, it was part of my identity. My friends at school used to call me rock and roll Rory. So it's important, things that we make part of our identity are significant. So in my 20s, that was part of my identity, and into my 30s when I moved to Australia, and I reached this point when I hit 35 where I call it my early midlife crisis, where I was like, I can't, I don't want to see myself being a DJ at 65 in the bar on Friday night at 2 a.m. I just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So, and I could see, so I didn't want to see that in my future, but I was also the cost of drinking, not, the financial cost, but the emotional cost, the psychological cost of hangovers, basically. So I was mostly a binge drinker, like a party person, mm-hmm. But I could start on Friday and end on Sunday. And the cost of that psychologically for me was then having to put up with a hangover for 4 days. And it was just, I realized at that point, it's like, well, it's not worth it anymore. Like that return on investment completely outweighed the wrong way.
Because the hangovers, in my experience as you get older, are absolute killers. Like when you say 4 days to get over it, I am not even joking. Like, I don't know what death feels like, but that feels like death to me. And I'm always grateful to my body for recovering. I'm like, thank you for recovering from the poison I put in you.
And just thinking this is all self-inflicted. So I like to talk about this, like 95% of the worst I've ever felt has all been self-inflicted. Self-inflicted. Thankfully, just, I've had good health. But just thinking, bad mental health, bad physical health, and just thinking that it got to a point where that wasn't worth it anymore. So then that led me to, well, the first thing I did was I quit smoking. I quit smoking and I quit DJing because I was like, they're the problem things. It didn't even occur to me, the drinking.
Oh, really? Because it was who you are. That's so interesting because that's who you are. So why would you change that? It must be something external that needs to be changed.
Yeah, so I wasn't at that stage where I'd identified it as the partying element, right? So not alcohol completely, but I just the excess amount of it. So that I was associating that with the partying and the DJing, And also this was like early 2010, so it's less of the environment that there is now, where like alcohol-free beers weren't a thing. It wasn't part of the culture as much. And I didn't know anyone who didn't drink.
Interesting, then, isn't it?
So I was more like, right, I'm just going to cut down the excessive stuff to minimize that. And at that point, it then prompted me to start a self-development journey. So I was like, right, quitting the smokes. And now I'm going to get fit. So my first thing was that I want to get physically fit. So I started running, and I couldn't run for more than 5 minutes.
Hey, 5 minutes is impressive to me. I reckon 5 meters for me is like, that's it.
It might not even have been that. But then I learned that, I could just go a little bit further each time, like 10% further each time. And then within a year, I'd ran a marathon. I ran the Sydney Marathon.
Amazing.
Which happened the other day.
Can I just stop you there? Oh, it happened the other day?
It was on Sunday, yeah.
What was that, this city to...
No, it's the Sydney Marathon. So this year it became one of the world major marathons. There's only 7 marathon majors.
So it's 42 kilometers, isn't it?
42 kilometers, yeah.
Wow, that's a
long way. 5 minutes.
It's a long way to run. I just get in my car. I don't know. You've got the bike.
That doesn't count. Not as much of an achievement.
Well, first of all, congratulations. That's awesome. I just want to, before we continue, because you're like, I gave up smoking and I gave up the DJing, and then all of a sudden I was running a marathon, right? What happened? There must have been times where you were wanting to be pulled back, because everything in your life is partying, drinking, smoking. So because I know when I gave up drinking for a year, I had to really change everything in my life. I had to give up those people. I couldn't go to those bars anymore. And there was a real time of loneliness in between there for me, because it was going from the old Petra to the new Petra. So tell us about that.
Yeah. And it wasn't overnight at all. It was over the period of a few years. And what I eventually, because I'm a bit of an extremist and all or nothing.
Sounds like it.
And all or nothing. So what happened over those years of moderation, and there were a few of them, because remember, I didn't think alcohol wasn't on the cards. Like, I wasn't even thinking about it being one of the problematic things. So what happened over those years is I went out less. And like you said, I isolated myself to some degree. And that was when I finally did completely quit, which was when I was 40. I had realized for the previous couple of years to that was that my solution was just don't socialize. Right. So in my head, it was like, you can either go out and get wasted and have a 5-day hangover, or you could just stay home.
That's the extremism for you, isn't that? Either or, right?
Either or.
Yeah.
So then after this New Year meditation retreat I went on, I had enough clarity to have more of this both, rather than either or, it was both and thinking, which was, hang on, I could go out and not drink. And I was like, boom. Like this huge revelation that, many people would know that was like obvious. But for me, having had this 25 years of always socializing with drinking, or, the only time, like, I was designated driver a few times when I used to be in the band, and I hated it. So I'd never chosen to not drink when other people were drinking. And this was just like, I could do that. And then I did it, and then it became much easier. And I never said at that point, I'm quitting forever, but I was like, I'm going to try a month of not doing this. Just try January in 2018. And it was fine. And I was like, I can get the social contact. And then, we went to the pub in the afternoon, and then I went and did something else in the evening. And then I had a Sunday. I remember these times, my first sober weekends, where I was like, how relaxing is it to just sit on the sofa? like without having a hangover, without being like, oh, my life is awful. There's the pizza.
Junk food.
Yeah. So
Did the junk food places around your house sort of ring you up and ask
like,
you, where are you? Our profits have gone down by 50%.
I remember my housemate used to get 2 pizzas and 2 2-liter bottles of Coke. I'm like, that's so bad.
Your poor body, right? What we do to our body.
Yeah, but that was a slow period, and where meditation comes in is within that. So I did a year of the running, and within that, I was then on this personal development journey where I was trying out different things. In that year, I did an NLP course, and I had a mentor at work, and I tried various types of meditation, and then I settled on the one that I now teach, Vedic meditation. But what that did is that then sped up this personal evolution and gave me more clarity. And without me knowing that it was doing this, it took care of lots of the reason. It solved lots of the reasons that I was reaching to alcohol for.
Right. So I love this. So this is really interesting because so often we assume that we're drinking to be social, and yet so often any sort of addiction is a mask for something we're covering it up. So often people drink, for insecurity because they want to fit in or whatever that is. So something that seems as harmless as going out as a kid with your mates and getting plastic because it's fun and it's rebellious. But if that continues throughout life, it just then does become a problem. So tell us, what did meditation help you uncover about yourself?
Yeah, so I think rather than uncovering it, just fix these things that I didn't realize were problems.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so things like you were talking about, social anxiety, which I wouldn't have said that I had. Who knows? Because I didn't ever
give yourself a chance to experience it.
No, but then having learned to meditate, I realized that I did have social anxiety. No, not in a crazy way, but that would be prompting me to want a drink, which is a very popular solution to that.
What does social anxiety mean to you? Because it's a term that sort of floats around a lot. So, like, how do you know you have social anxiety?
I think it's just being overly concerned when you go to any social situation about what other people think, what you're going to say. I think it's just an unhelpful amount of awareness about what could go wrong, risks, seeing yourself through other people's eyes in an unhelpful way.
Okay.
In that, for me, would mean that I was watching what I was going to say, or concerned about who was where or who was thinking what.
And that's where the overthinking comes in, isn't it? Yeah, overthinking every scenario, it's a fear-based response, isn't it?
100%. And then also realizing that because I've never been an overtly stressed person. So all my friends would have said that I was chilled out. But I realized after learning to meditate that I had been stressed. But it's just because I didn't express it and I didn't shout at people or get angry at people, but I was in my head, I would be angry at you.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
I've done it 1,000 times. I've killed people, loved them, kicked them in my head 1,000,000 times.
Yeah. And it would just spill out in that I would just be sarcastic or I would be negative about your idea. Right. So then it was learning through meditation that I had been stressed. And it's like, oh, wow. So one little analogy I use, it's like I'd been wearing a pair of shoes that were tied up way too tightly, and I just normalized it. And then it was like, oh, hang on, my shoes were so tight. Right? It's like the frog in the boiling pot of water analogy. Like you don't realize what you're in. So then I was normal stress from being at work. Like we all, everyone's had a stressful job. So it gets the weekend, I'd be like, I need something. I need a release. I need to escape from that. So there's the social part. Then there's like the release. Like there's this tension that's built up.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't always social drinking. It'd be like, oh, Friday night, I'm just going to have a bottle of wine. So then what I noticed, and again, none of this I was thinking, I need to deal with my alcohol problem. But what I noticed was it gets to Friday and I'd be meditating all week and I'm like, I don't need to escape from anything. I feel fine.
Wow.
So then I realized I had a choice over what I did. So before I didn't feel I had a choice. It'd be, I'm going to the pub with whoever, and it's Paul again. And we'll be there till 11 p.m. and we'll have pizza at 9 p.m. and then we'll feel awful the next day. And then it's like, okay, I don't feel the compulsion to do that because I feel okay. So meditation made me feel okay. And I think it's what it was, is that stress made me feel bad. And then alcohol was a good solution to that. But because I knew and now had through meditation, a way of coping with my life more easily, then I was like, all right, well, I could go to the pub, but I could go to yoga, or I could go for a run, or I could just go and chill out. So making that choice more often, and then it became, so then it wasn't alcohol as a coping mechanism, but like I say, then it was more of a special occasion thing. And then then I had to work through that thing of, can I go on holiday without drinking, or can I celebrate my birthday? And that was what I didn't learn until I consciously said, right, I'm going to do dry January in 2018, that I then did have to go to the pub, and I did have to do Australia Day boat party. And then when I extended it into February, then I went on a skiing holiday to Japan. And that was like, okay, this is my first holiday. This is my first après ski. We did karaoke in Tokyo, sober. And it was things like that really got rid of those.
Do people really do that? You could be sober karaoke.
I did it. No one else did
it.
Right. But having gone through those things, and I also went to a wedding in New Zealand, it's like, okay, this is doable.
I love that, and you said something so profound, and this is exactly what this podcast is about. It's the mission of this podcast is to give people the knowledge to make better choices, to live a life that makes them feel alive. And you just said that. Through meditation, I noticed my thoughts, first of all, because it's the thoughts, the overthinking that leads to the stress, a stress response. And so you then got an opportunity to go, I have a choice here. I'm not working in autopilot. I'm not letting my subconscious rule me. I'm present enough to make a choice. And I think that for me is what meditation is. Because how would you define that? Because people often ask, what is meditation? Why should I do it? And for me, it really is giving you the choice between action and response. What do you think about that? Like, how would you define meditation, or like what it gave you?
Yeah. So such a good question. So stepping back a bit, like the word meditation, I often talk about it. It's like the word exercise. So it can include like synchronized swimming and kickboxing and lots of completely different things. So all of which in the exercise bucket are helping your body stay active and fit. Right, if you want to think about it like that. So meditation, there's lots of different disciplines, but they're all looking to work through your stress and give you more access to your truer, more authentic self. So not that worrying version of yourself. So there are lots of different ways to do it. We want to talk about meditation as an eyes closed practice. So people will often say things like, running is my meditation. And I'm like, running's great and it can be meditative, but it's not, a Harvard study on meditation doesn't include running. Like that's not.
Well, I think what maybe do you think people are differentiating or maybe interchanging meditation and being in flow?
Exactly.
Because being in flow, same thing, time stands still, you're present. So maybe that's what they confuse, which is a form of meditation. It can be meditative to run.
Yeah, exactly.
To run,
but
yeah.
I'd say do both. Like I run.
Yeah. I used to, yeah, obviously.
To be in flow and to get the physical exercise. But in meditation, there's a specific set of mental and physiological things going on, which are all designed to bring your mind and body to a state of rest so that it can unpack these worries and stresses that are in there. Flow state and running is great, but your body is not at rest. You've got adrenaline working through. Not that it's not a good thing, but it will not give you the same benefits. So I would say do both. But then the benefits of it, like you say, I mean, one of the most profound ones was I just found that I was able to let go of things, right? So the reason I got to the end of the week and was like, well, that wasn't too bad, was that, and this always shocked my boss at the time. I was like, I cared less, right? But that didn't mean that I did a worse job. This was the interesting thing, is that I cared less and I did a better job.
Yeah, amazing.
Like in the 2 years after I learned to meditate, I got promoted twice. And whereas before I'd be overly worrying about, so I used to work in as a journalist and then in web development. And I used to be overly concerned about all the thousands of things that could go wrong relaunching a website, say. And then something would always go wrong, but it would be very rarely be one of the things that I thought about.
Right? Really? Yeah. So you thought of all these things that could go wrong, and the one thing you didn't think about went wrong.
There was like 1,000 other things that it could have been.
Did that freak you out even more, going, God, I can't even think of the things that are going wrong, well enough.
But when it got to that point, then, because I've been stressing about it and not sleeping well and frantically checking my emails, I wasn't in a good place to deal with the thing that did go wrong. So when I stopped caring as much, I did all the things that it could have been within reason. But then at 5 o'clock, I went home and I didn't check my email and I didn't worry about it and I didn't stay up thinking about it. So that when the random unexpected thing happened, I was calm. And the reason I would get promoted is that people would be like, you're really good under pressure. And we're like, yes, great. You just didn't bother worrying about it.
Yeah, amazing.
Which then means that when you're putting out that fire, you know, there's dozens of people around and you're the one who can be like, no, this is all good. Right? How about we do this? How about not going, this is my fault. Everyone's thinking I did something. They're taking things personally, right? So one of my main benefits I got from this is, one, not overthinking things and over worrying, but two, not taking things personally. And it was so amazing at work because I'd just be like, this is just work. It's fine. It doesn't matter.
It's so good that you say that because, you know, I mentioned this before to you, but I had an incident a couple of weeks ago, a few weeks ago, where it was like a very confronting incident. And the same thing, I just stood there and I just dealt with what had to be dealt with. And I let it go. And I was speaking to my friend about it. And I said, it's not personal because this person who, you know, verbally attacked me doesn't know me from a bar of soap. So it's not personal. And she was like, how can you not take that personally? I'm like, easy, because it's not, right? But and that's a thought process. It's how we perceive things and how we think about things. And I think that's also what comes up a lot. And you've been teaching meditation for a long time now. And so people often say the greatest challenge, and this is what I've heard, you may have heard something different, is I can't sit still because I can't stop thinking. It often comes up. And then because when you sit in stillness, you have to face the thoughts. You have to deal with those thoughts. And because they seem so real and so monstrous often, they're not, because I often, when I meditate and something goes a bit haywire, I bring myself back to the present. I like breathe in, feel the sun. Nothing's happening other than in my head, right? Have you found that with yourself and your clients that often comes up? And how do we help people when they are experiencing that? I can't sit still because I can't stop thinking.
You know, and I would just say to people, it's very normal. Like most people face that challenge. So don't be put off the first hurdle. And two, you know, you're talking about thoughts being the issue, but I would go a step back and say, well, look, it's your nervous system state that then provokes the thoughts. So when I was more of a stressed person, I had more of the cortisol, adrenaline, stress chemicals in my body, which then promote the worrying thoughts. So the way I like to think about it is that we're going to do a technique which triggers a response in the mind and then the body to remove that stress chemistry. And then the thoughts naturally go away. So you're not playing whack-a-mole with the thoughts. You're going to the root cause, which is the nervous system.
So I love this. And because this doesn't come up often, because I've been meditating for years, right? So I've actually very rarely hear someone talk about the nervous system. But let's explore that a little bit, because when your nervous system is in fight or flight, it feels unsafe, and then it's going to fire thoughts. Correct me if I've got this wrong. It's going to fire thoughts. It's going to tell you to move because it's so, the cortisol, the stress is so high, it feels unsafe. So it's not, and used to being still, and it's going, hang on, this is not right. And then it's going to fire these thoughts. Is that how it works?
I mean, yeah, partly, yeah, because the stress response is about helping you survive.
Yes.
Right. So because part of that is I need to be safe, right? There will be certain aspects where you don't feel safe if you've got your eyes closed, for example, or part of the survival response is I need to be doing something.
Okay.
Right. I need to be earning money. I can't give myself permission to sit here. But I think the overall context that I always start people off with is to say thoughts in meditation, they're not bad. And you're not going to avoid them, right? So it's like you can't go swimming without getting wet. You can't meditate without getting covered in thoughts. So we just completely normalize that and say, well, that's fine. You just sit through it. It's not going to be too bad. I think the big issue is that people resist it, and then they're like, oh, I shouldn't be thinking, and I am
And
thinking.
then they're thinking of the thoughts, they're thinking of thinking,
Yeah.
and it just spirals down, doesn't it?
Yeah, and to start, we said thinking's good. Like you will necessarily think, and the thoughts, I like to think of them as they're just this tangled web, and you're undoing this tangled web, but you need to get in the web to untangle it. So what I like with the style of meditation that I teach, so rather than breath, we use a mantra.
Mm-hmm.
So a mantra is a word or sound that doesn't have any meaning.
So this is Vedic meditation.
Vedic meditation, yeah. So a mantra is a word or sound that doesn't have any specific meaning that you think in your mind. And why I found that more soothing than breath that I'd done before is that I found that I could quite easily focus on my breath and have a full conversation.
Me too, right? I can multitask. Well, I think I am multitasking.
Yeah. Whereas with Vedic, because it's a mantra has the shape of a word, it's like I'm putting this neutral, content-less word into my mouth, into my mental mouth, right? So it's more of a straight swap. And then the process is that you put that word in your mental mouth for a bit, and then you're going to get lost in thought. And you'll get lost in thought for a bit, and then you'll remember, oh, I'm meditating. And then you think the word again, and then you get lost again. So at the beginning, I'm always like, this will happen, right? And that's not a bad thing. It's the back and forth. And the key point is not whether you can stick with the mantra or the breath. It's how laid back you can be in the process, right? Just understanding that it's going to be a process of back and forth for about half the meditation. About half the meditation is you thinking a mantra, you forgetting to think your mantra, you thinking about this afternoon's meeting or what the traffic's like or what you're going to have for lunch, and not worrying about those things because they're all part of this survival mechanism. They're all trying to keep you safe, keep you happy. You know, lunch might be a trivial example, but food is one of our most basic requirements.
I love food. Luckily I gym, because if I didn't, I'd be this big.
So then knowing that you're going to spend about half the meditation at the beginning working through these, and there'll be day-to-day things which you're going to think without training, it's easy to think, well, this is a waste of time. Just thinking my to-do list. It's like, well, look, your to-do list is on your mind. By allowing yourself to think about it, not ruminating or not letting it go wild, but only until you remember, I've got something else to do. I've got my mantra to come back to. That is enough time to release some stress and energy from it. Then the mantra is designed to have this soothing, calming, vibrational sound that then pulls you back in and lets you go deeper. Then that will allow something else. So it's the process. So it's much more about, I think where people get stuck is that they get on the outcome. The outcome is I'm supposed to be not thinking or fewer thoughts. But the process is be okay with the mess and the back and forth. Mm-hmm. Then you get the outcome of afterwards, you're going to have fewer thoughts and fewer worries. But the process is going to be messy.
And the interesting thing is it's also neurologically to remember that the brain needs something to focus on. The brain's designed to think, like your heart's designed to beat. So when you start meditating, you don't say to your heart, could you stop beating, please? I want this in stillness, right? Your brain's designed to think. And also, so by giving it a mantra, you're giving it something to think about, right? So instead of all the mess, you're actually giving it something to think about. So that really helps direct the energy of the thoughts. And I just come back to the alcohol example. It's where you were so practiced in going to the pub, drinking, partying, that you had to, it was a habit, right? And you had to change that habit by doing something else. And you had to give that a little bit a go. And from that, you could go further and further. So, you ran 5 minutes, again, amazing. And then you ran, all or nothing dude here, they ran 50 minutes an hour marathon. But that was over a few years, right? So, I mean, I imagine when you've started running, you would have wanted to give up and fall over, but you persevered, right? And look at you now, right? Yeah. So I think it's also really understanding that meditation, just because you're sitting and not actually physically moving, doesn't mean you're not doing anything. You are. You're retraining your mind. You're practicing something, right?
It is about practice is a very good word for it. Like, I've been doing it twice a day for 11 years and I'm practicing it. Like, I've taught it for 8 years. I'm still practicing it.
Yes.
And it's really important to think that, because if we think we're masters, then it's like, well, no, I need a certain experience. But no, I need to, when I meditate this morning, I'm like, oh, I need to get to Mossman. I'm going to see Petra again. I'm thinking about those things. Like, what am I going to wear?
Will I look good next to her?
Surely I'm not going to look good next to her. But yeah, so knowing that it's going to help, but it's not going to help if you do it once. Like, if you do it once, you go, I expect the benefits that someone who's been meditating for a while is going to get. You're not. Ideally, like after the first meditation session, I'm like, how are you feeling in your body? Because they'll often say, I was really busy in my mind, but I'm like, how are you feeling in your body?
Yeah.
And they're like, actually, I feel quite calm. So that is why we do it. Not worrying about how often you were with the mantra or even what thoughts you had. How do you feel afterwards? And that is you having changed your nervous system, removed the stress. And that means when you go into the difficult meeting after lunch, you're going to be more calm about it because you've done this to your nervous system. Mm-hmm. Like if I went to the gym and I was like, right, I want a 6-pack, they'd be like, that's definitely doable, but it's gonna take a bit of time. And you come back and you do it regularly.
And commitment, time and commitment.
Yeah. So with the meditation, I like to say, look, it's going to give you profound results, but not if you do it once in a while.
Yeah.
And I also like to think of it like the benefits of meditation are like the benefits of sleep in that they wear off. Like if we met again tomorrow and neither of us slept, like we would be struggling.
I am not pretty when I haven't slept.
No. And so the benefits of sleep wear off after about 20 hours, like we would be falling asleep. The benefits of meditation wear off in less than that. They wear off in about 10 hours, say. They're not as profound as sleep. Like if you don't sleep, you're not going to function. You're going to die quite soon. Right?
They use it as a torture method.
They do. Whereas the benefits that you might get after meditating, which is I feel calmer, I'm better in my job interview, I'm less likely to be road ragey, right? They will wear off. So this is when and we'll come on to talk about this, but when I use this for clients in terms of giving them an alternative to their 5 p.m. drink to calm down. Like if you don't do it one day, you're not going to get that benefit. And that doesn't mean you're immediately going to drink, but we want it to be a daily practice.
Yeah.
And to understand, like sleep is a daily practice.
Yeah.
And you get that benefit, or eating food is a daily practice.
Yeah.
Like, and I think often people put it more in the bracket of exercise. Like I might exercise once or twice a week and that might be enough. But with the meditation, you want to do it more consistently because it's more like sleep. Like it's going to wear off that benefit.
Yeah. It's part of your lifestyle, and it's, with everything I teach here and all the wonderful guests I have on, everything they teach is experiential. So you have to experience it. And it's funny that you talk about running because everyone thinks they can run. New Year's comes along and all of a sudden there's people jogging on the street badly. Like I could see that. I used to do the 5K park run this is 5 kilometers. And I'd see inexperienced runners like, who's it? And like, babe, you've got 5Ks. Like, it's a long way.
It's not 100 meters.
But then they would pass me, and they would sprint and then die, and then I would go past, and then they would sprint and then die. And then, you know what? They would sometimes finish before me. I went to a running coach the one time, and he taught me how to run properly, how to pendulum my legs and how to sprint. And it was a game changer. My body was so sore afterwards. But I think that's the thing with meditation as well. It's like, yes, of course you can sit down and you can, close your eyes, but it really to be taught how to do it and to go, hey, this is coming up for me right now. Is this normal? And having someone like you, a Vedic meditation teacher, say, hey, that's totally normal. Give this a go. Yeah. So there's a real value in having a teacher, isn't there?
100%. And thank you for bringing that up. And I think that it's the real difference often between people managing to get the benefits or managing not to. And most of my job is what I call, verifying and validating their experience, which is often, I just thought about this work problem for 20 minutes. Therefore, I can't meditate. This is bad. I'm like, that's good. If that was the main thing on your mind, you would have resolved it in some way.
Yeah.
Right. And knowing that what happens in the meditation is not the important thing. So it takes, when I teach this, we have 4 sessions and we meditate in each session, and I get them to meditate out of them. We talk about each experience to really so that they understand what constitutes a good meditation and what's a bad meditation. And people will generally think that most of their meditations are bad. After the course, it's like, they're not.
Yeah.
Because and we judge them. We judge success not by could you have some mystical experience, or could you have inner stillness? It's no. Well, how did you show up for your family or your work, or how did you sleep?
Exactly, because as you say, noticing the difference in your life and how you're making different choices.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like with the sleep example, it's like if we've had a good night's sleep, then we're going to be energetic in the day. We're not like, oh, I had these amazing dreams. Like, dreams are like a nice to have.
Well, dreams is, who knows? But the dreams could be your mind, like making sense of your day. It could be. I don't know.
Yeah. So, dreams are a big separate subject. but in general, like, you sleep so that our waking state is good.
Yes.
Same with meditation. We meditate so that when we're not meditating, life is good.
Yeah.
There's a famous quote that says, we meditate not to get good at meditation, but to get good at life.
Yes, it's a great quote.
Yeah.
Who said it? Do you know?
I
Some really profound person.
Yeah, I think
some meditation guru.
Sharon Salzberg. Anyway, I think we covered this recently.
What's that?
But yeah, and that's really important because that takes the pressure off. It takes the pressure off trying to, because there's this performance anxiety, especially with successful people. Like, I work with lots of high achiever, successful people, which then plays into them needing to drink to calm themselves down after that. But then when you apply performance anxiety to meditation, that's when a teacher really comes in handy, because otherwise you're like, well, I'm thinking that this is my KPI, or this is the success thing, but it's actually not, because you're not going to be able to do that. Like, if you think it's clearing my mind for 20 minutes, you are going to fail. Like, everyone's going to fail. And that means that you've just set the wrong goal. So for high achievers, it's really, so, we change the metrics. It's like, can you do it? You've got a very busy day. Can you fit it in? And if you can, then you get your tick.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what people want. Successful people need to know what the criteria is.
Yeah, the metric, the success metric is.
It's different to what they think it is.
The strive is
clear the mind. So no, you just need to do it.
Yeah.
And then we'll cut. On the day one of people learning to meditate, I give them a little questionnaire that says, rate yourself out of 10 for how well you sleep, how well you manage stress, your general health, your happiness level, your relationships, things like that. And then I ask them again on day 100, because that's, it's just a snapshot in these 2 days, but people often have these big changes, which is nothing to do with what happened in the meditation. But I had this guy recently who's very successful, owns his own business, but he was like 2 out of 10 for sleep, 2 out of 10 for managing stress. And he got up to like 7 out of 10, which again is not perfect, but is way, way better. Like
Of course.
He was in a right state on day 1, but he was still at day 100 going, well, I'm having these thought-filled meditations. I'm like, yeah, but you're sleeping 3 times as well.
Yes.
Right? Keep doing it. It's working. Like, just because it's so easy for us to get pulled into, no, but I'm supposed to be controlling it. And this goes back to, we're giving the mind something to do in meditation, but especially in Vedic, we're not trying to control it. It's less of a focused technique and more of an inclusive technique.
Okay.
So we're giving it something to do, which is the mantra, but we're allowing everything else to happen.
Yeah, okay.
Our thoughts are fine, but our preference is to come back to the mantra, but not exclusively. We're not trying to block everything else out. And that just makes it more of a, oh, well, this is easy. This is much easier.
Well, it is, because if you're constantly fighting your mind,
Yeah.
it's a horrible experience, right? It's so, it's so interesting because when you said, we Vedic meditation invites you to include everything, and the word I would put to that is acceptance. Just accept that everything is just as it needs to be. And I'm telling you, Rory, like, I've done a few of these interviews now, but even in my own personal life experience, I noticed when it's that word acceptance, that not even the word, the essence of it, and actually doing it and really going, this is happening and it's okay. And this is happening and it's okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. No matter what's happening out here, I'm okay. They've real like knowing. I think that's the beautiful thing for me for meditation is knowing I'm okay. Irrespective of what this is, I'm okay because I can make a choice, and that's really what meditation gives me, amongst many other things. Being spunky also would call it, but that's really what it is. And sometimes, this sounds so arrogant, and it really does, but sometimes I talk to people and they say, oh, I was at salsa dancing the other night, because I don't know if I told you that I'm a really good salsa dancer. I keep mentioning it. And I was standing outside and this woman, guy and the woman were talking, and she was saying, oh, I've been dating this guy for 5 months and he's jealous that I come salsa dancing. And I'm like, huh? And I'm like, how old is he? 12. She goes, 53. I'm like, no, he's not. He's 12. Like, he's still living in his 12-year-old body. To me, that's so random. I just like, do people really get jealous? Like, so it sounds arrogant, but that's what happens. But it's because I've done the work and the meditation that I'm okay. And I think that's really that acceptance. I'm still learning not to be judgmental. That's really something I'm working on in meditation. And that's acceptance of others and acceptance of self. So it still comes back. So it's that constant, still shows up, right? But being okay with it showing up and not judging it is the interesting thing. And every time I hear someone say that, like you just said that, I was like, it's okay. Because the minute I fight something, just my whole body just crunches up. Do you feel? Well, does that make sense? That was a bit of a ramble.
No, but I love that. And acceptance is one, like I don't teach it within the sessions, but I'm like, what we are doing is we're practicing acceptance.
Yeah.
We're not calling it that. But when you say, oh, I'm thinking about my work meeting, and then I'm remembering to come back to my mantra, I'm practicing, or, a loud motorbike goes past and I practice being okay with that and including it in the experience, I'm practicing acceptance, right? So that means that when the flight gets cancelled, or when you get made redundant, or when other bad things happen, you're much more able to take it in your stride. And another thing linked to what you were saying is that we're finding a different way to find happiness, right? So instead of looking in the outside world for contentedness, for events to make us happy, instead we turn our awareness inside and we find that we've got an inner source of happiness or contentedness, which means that it's much easier not to be like, my work project fell apart, my whole value is gone. Right?
The attachment. Yeah.
Yeah. So all of those bigger lessons, you learn it without having to name them in our style. They're embedded in the practice. Like, I wouldn't have to know about my stomach muscles to get a six pack. I would just go and do sit-ups, right? And it's embedded in that. I'll get to that. So embedded in the simple practice of thinking this mantra, being okay with everything else, you get acceptance, you get an inner source of happiness. And then that changes everything in your life. Like, you're basically changing your relationship with yourself by sitting and doing this technique, but then that changes your relationship with everything else, whether that's success, whether that's with other people, whether that's with alcohol, whether that's with social media. You're changing that and you're making it a lot more flexible, so that, going back to what we said before, then you've got more of a choice.
Yeah.
And it's not like, no, you need to buy this thing. You need to buy your new salsa outfit.
That's true.
You wear.
Pretty much what I'm wearing now. Or I go naked, like whatever works. But it's so, look, I love that. And I had to giggle when you talk about six pack. The reason I giggled there.
I haven't got a six
pack.
No,
but I laugh because I just started playing beach volleyball. And, lots of them have bodies of gods, and I often watch because I learn a lot from watching. And these people were playing, it's like a beach tennis. And they were like, this guy and this woman were ripped. Like, so I walked over to them during their game, mind you.
You're like touching
and
their
I
abs.
said, excuse me, could you please put some clothes on? You're making us feel bad about ourselves. And I think they were foreign and they didn't get it. But the other people did. But I think just that joy, that playfulness comes back. That all comes through meditation. And as you know, when you were talking about social anxiety, I do it because it's fun and it's enjoyable. And so I just want to bring it full circle to the alcohol and the overthinking thing, because what you shared in the beginning was so valuable, was that, like, constant overthinking about, if something happens, I won't be okay. I think that's really what it comes down to. If we had to, like, boil it down, like, oh my God, if this project doesn't come through, I won't be okay because I'm attached, well, my identity is attached to that. So I think at the end of the day, it all comes down to that, I won't be okay. And that, like, makes the nervous system go absolutely apeshit, because it's like, I'm not okay, so I need to go and fucking do what I need to do. And then that sort of causes all these other issues, and then, grabbing for all sorts of stuff. But the beautiful thing about Vedic meditation in particular, it gives you the opportunity to just sit in stillness and then to then be with those thoughts, and to have a mantra, and to then yo-yo in and out of that, and to just finally allow yourself to be okay.
Yeah, and having that, and it's 100% what you're saying. I often think of it as we're making the change in our bodies, our nervous systems, and then that allows us not to have those thoughts.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to go in on the level of thinking. There's this quote that's attributed to Einstein. Says,
we know who it is now. I was like, oh my God, not another quote I have to look up.
Well, yeah, but like any quote, they don't know who it is. They say Einstein.
Great.
There's no. Anyway, the quote
we'll go with Einstein.
You can't solve a problem from the same level of consciousness that caused it, right?
Yes.
So trying to fix a thinking problem, like overthinking, with more thinking, is maybe it's not going to work. So this is why I like to think of Vedic, is we're using this calming sound, this vibration, to send us. It's more of a physiological response, and then your body's chemistry changes, less cortisol, less adrenaline, and then that allows the mind to change. So not going through on the level of the mind, and I do lots of coaching that uses NLP techniques and blah, 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 on the level of thinking or subconscious. This is more of a physiological thing. And that you do get, part of that is you're sitting still.
Yeah.
You're not running, and there are benefits to running, but that's your nervous system's alert. So that part of resting in a very systematic way, which is also different from sleeping. So they did studies that showed that the level of relaxation in your body is greater, 2 to 5 times greater when you're meditating, then even when you're sleeping,
Yeah, that is
so
all.
you're basically allowing your body to feel comfortable, to feel safe.
Yeah.
Safety, and then it's able to let go of the concerns of what happens if this project goes wrong.
Yeah.
Because then you've got that feeling of inner comfort, and then, like you say, you can walk into any situation. You go, even if I say something stupid or get this person's name wrong, it's like, it's not the end of the world.
I love that. It sounds so beautiful. So I wonder if someone's at home now and goes, I want to give this a go, and what could we tell the audience? What's the one thing they could do, just in the interim before they contact you, obviously, that they could give it a go to sort of calm their nervous system down, to sit still, even just for 5 minutes?
Yeah, well, look, and this is the thing, like any meditation technique is going to give you that, but the warning is you're going to think you're doing it wrong. So I would say, if you do any of these practices, don't judge what happens within it. Just notice how you were feeling before and how you're feeling after. And whatever practice you do, you will get that result. But then, and it doesn't have to be coming to me, but find a teacher.
Sorry, you're not a very good salesperson. I would say, like, never mind anyone else. Just come to me.
No, but like, find someone that you resonate with, and then allow them to teach you. And it's one of those ones where people, and I was the same, seem to think, well, I can teach myself this. But it's the same with anything, with your running coach, for example, or I've had tennis lessons. You're going to be able to get some of it, but you're going to slow yourself down and put yourself off. And by 2025, like, I've taught, most of the people I teach have tried some meditation before. So half my job is getting them over the line, saying, look, just because you've tried it before and it didn't work doesn't mean it doesn't work. Right? It's how you approach it. So I think when you find a teacher that you trust and you like how they're talking about it, then they can help you through it. But if people are trying out on their own, just notice how you're feeling before and how you're feeling after. And that's the main thing. Like, we meditate to improve our lives, not to be good at meditation itself. Being good at meditation is, can you sit down? Can you block out some time to do it? And I like to say, the only bad meditation is the one that you skip.
Yeah.
Right? Even if you sat there worrying about something, you're releasing that worry. But if you didn't know about this, you would say, well, that was bad.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, because you're going to feel more resolved about that, or you may accept it in some way, or you may have thought about, actually, this is what I need to do. Like, I had an ex-girlfriend who, she would spend her 20 minutes meditating, thinking about work, and she wouldn't do it every day. But when she would do it, she'd be like, I just solved like 5 work problems.
Yeah.
I'm like,
it's amazing, right?
Yeah, it's great.
It does work. Yeah, I love that so much. And coming back to a tennis coach and to teachers, I had tennis coaching, my poor tennis coach.
Mine would only say, rack it back. I just need a tape recorder that says, rack it back.
I still to this day have a double backhand. I like the ball or double bounce on my racket. And no matter how many times my poor coach said, Petra, turn your body, I would still do it. Anyway, tennis is not my sport to play.
Turn your body. Turn your body. Whatever you're doing, just turn your body.
And I love watching tennis. And I do like playing it when I can hit the ball occasionally. But and just saying, like, and Bud, that was Bud, I remember the American guy. I don't think he did his very best, but that tennis and I are just not meant to be. But
well, this is what pickleball's for.
No, this is right now I play pickleball and volleyball, so there's other ball sports I sort of get there. But that's what my point is, and I've done the same with meditation and with yoga. I've done all different types of meditation and, Vipassana, Vedic, and all sorts of different types, until I found the one that sort of really gelled for me. And they like tennis, which is a ball sport, and meditation, they all sort of part of the same package. But that doesn't just mean that there's one that fits you all the time. Like, sometimes I do different types of meditation in different types of times. It just, so I just want to encourage people to come and give Vedic meditation a go, and with Rory, and and see what that is for you. I just really feel that you do have to come and do it, though. Like, it doesn't work just listening to this podcast. It doesn't work just sitting and listening to an app for me unless you're really dedicated, which I'm just not. I also like to have that accountability, especially when I'm starting off something.
You kind of commit, you go, right, I'm going to go to a certain number of times and I'm going to pay a certain amount of money. And then you're like, right, well, I better do this.
Yeah.
And then you get the accountability of doing it, and then you get the benefit. Whereas if you download an app, you might do it once a week or something because you've not got any skin in the game.
No.
You don't have the support, but you also don't have any skin in the game.
And it's another app. Like how many pretty apps have,
And we don't want to be on our phones anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I want to get off the phone. So kind of give it a go. And I really encourage everyone to, and as Rory says, and I love that, Rory, because I haven't heard that before. It's not about becoming good at meditating. It's about doing it and then seeing what the results are. And I think that's a really nice way to look at it. And I'm ready to go take that on, because there's been many times where I've gone, I don't know if I'm ever going to get this right. But I love that. It's like, well, it's about doing the meditation and then seeing what the results are from doing.
So my teacher used to say, water the root and then enjoy the fruit. Right, so you're not worrying about the root. You just water it, and then it's like, over here in life, it's like, I got promoted, or I got a new relationship, or I changed my drinking. That's the fruit. And then the watering is just like, sit here and do it. Follow the simple process, but do it regularly. Like if you don't water a plant, as all of us know, it dies.
I overwater. I don't know.
That's a separate.
That's a separate issue altogether.
Yeah, I don't know enough about plants to comment on that.
I'm a more
complex. A plant podcast.
I loved it. So many gold nuggets. Listen to this again, guys. I think it's really. I'm certainly going to listen to this again, because I think there's just so many beautiful things that just came up that have really dispelled a lot of misconceptions. What's the word? Misconception of what meditation is. Thanks, Rory. Was there any final words before you?
No, that's great. I love chatting to you. I just love going into all this.
Me too.
Maybe we can have a game of pickleball at some point.
Yeah. I was going to say I'm really good, but I don't know. Are you good? You're a bit of an extremist, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, let me practice it for a few weeks and then I'll come and whoop you.
Okay. Anyway, Rory, thank you so much for being on our show.
Petra.